Sup YouTube, it's Xatu TCG here and welcome back to another TCG video on my channel. On this channel you get daily Pokemon TCG content, so be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. Today we're going to be talking about Stellar Crown and my tier list prediction for this upcoming meta. Yeah, the new set Stellar Crown actually releases in a couple of weeks time, and it will be legal at the end of September for tournament play. That means League Cups, League Challenges, and even regionals. The regionals I'll be attending here is going to be the Dortmund regionals at the end of September, so that's going to be one hell of a tournament. But before we dive into, of course, the content, you guys should know is that there's not going to be too much things shaken up. I know that Tera Pokémon get better because of the Sparkling Crystal Ace Spec card. We're also getting the zero Area Underdepth Stadium card that allows you to have up to 8 bench Pokemon if you have a Tera Pokémon in play. There's the Glass Trumpet that allows you to accelerate to Carless Pokemon if you have a Tera Pokémon in play. So lots of stuff to do with Tera Pokémon in general. Another cool Ace Spec card of the bunch that I want to be talking about is the Big Tree, allowing you to evolve one of your basic Pokemon instantly to a stage 2 instantly from the deck if you activate the Big Tree, but it needs to be in play for a turn. So lots of crazy cool trainer cards to work with. Also the Briar, being able to take an additional prize card if the opponent has exactly 2 prize cards remaining with your Tera Pokemon is actually super nice. So lots of stuff going around, but for archetypes itself, I think we're gonna have to do with a couple of them, and we're gonna be talking about those first, and then we're gonna be making our way to the existing meta. So if you guys are excited, let me know by rocking the hell out of the like button. Only requires 1 tiny second every time and helps out the channel tremendously. Okay, without further ado, let's talk about the new archetypes. Hydrapple, I think I'll put that in tier C. At first glance, it doesn't seem bad because you're gonna accelerate some energies while you're using the Teal Ogerpon as well, and for all the energies in play. On your side of the field, you're actually slapping a lot of damage for your grass type energies in play. But in my opinion, people are going to be playing Radianzard not only in Dragapult, also in Charizard. You're going to be hitting these Hydrapple EXs for weakness, and it also doesn't get the one-hit KOs most of the time, and definitely not in the early game. So that's why I'm putting it here at tier C. And since you're all playing those Teal Mask Ogerpons, that's also weak HP Pokemon that can get countered, captured up, prime captured, Balsasaurus, and that's going to be the way the opponent will take games. So I'm going to be putting that in tier C. Even though it's a high HP Pokemon, it still is a stage 2 Pokemon, and if you are a stage 2 Pokemon, you're going to have one hell of an ability or stats to back it up. And Hydrapple, we are not going to be able to do a lot with it, and the partner in crime is going to be Teal Mask, and that also means you're playing 2 prizers on the bench. So 2 prizers on the bench while being a stage 2, it's tier C for me. Next up is a Cinderace, also with tier C for me. You're slapping 280 damage for only a fire and 2 Carless energy. But again, you are a stage 2 and you don't accelerate to yourself, meaning this is going to be way harder to set up than something like than Charizard EX. So I personally wouldn't be putting it any higher, and in my opinion I would even put it in the tier better not play this, but there are way worse decks in the format that I'll be putting there. Then Galvantula, I'll be putting that in tier B because of the fact that item lock is strong and people will find a way to make this work. You have Glass Trumpet to accelerate to your Carless Pokemon. You might be thinking about pairing that up with something like a Blizzy EX so you can accelerate the energies instantly. This Galvantula also is a lightning type, meaning it already hits weakness against Pidgeot EX, which is going to be played in a lot of decks. You also are going to be hitting Palkia for weakness. You're having item lock by yourself and a first turn attack that's going to be slapping 220 damage if your opponent is an EX or a V Pokemon. And to top it all off, your little one prize Pokemon that you evolve from is going to be super nice. Your Joltik has one of the most powerful attacks I've seen going second by being able to accelerate grass and lightning energies instantly from the deck to your Pokemon. So all that combined, you can even go for an electric generator onto stuff like a Galvantula with the Sparkling Crystal as well, so you don't need that much resources. So item lock is powerful, I've always said it, and I'll be putting that in tier B, not in tier A, definitely not. Then Palkia is one of those archetypes that actually is returning to the format because of the fact we're getting the zero Area Underdepth Stadium card, paired up with Wellspring Ogerpon. Pair that up with the fact that you can now have Noctowl, Rotom, all new cards. If you're wanting to learn more about those new cards, there's a link in the description talking about the best cards of Stellar Crown. But In short, you can be playing those Tera Pokemon, either Wellspring, Ogerpon, or even a Terapagos EX. That could also be a Tera Pokemon of choice. And then you can have all the way up to 8 bench Pokemon with that new Stadium card. The cool thing with that is that that Stadium card is not an Ace Spec card, meaning you can have 4 of them in the deck, meaning your Palkia is not capped at 260 damage anymore with Subspace Well. It is enlarged, meaning you can even dish out damage against the biggest of threats. Palkia has historically always been good. You can use Palkia in combination with Radiant Greninja. Radiant Greninja can be your one prize beat stick with Prime Catch and Cologne to take down evolving Pokemon before they're able to evolve, and you can get the combination going instantly because of Noctowl. If you evolve into Noctowl, you can get 2 trainer cards out of your deck, so that's going to be very fantastic indeed. Even though we don't have Scoop Up Net in the format, playing a small line, maybe a 2-2 line of Noctowl with some Rotoms to fill up your bench instantly will be the best plan of action with Palkia. It is returning to the format, and it is tier A for me. Terapagos EX, I'm putting that in tier B. I think it is an interesting archetype. You could be playing the Buffalans as well for some damage reduction, but the problem with Terapagos EX is that you cannot use its attack on your first turn going second, and that hinders the deck from being a very turbo aggro deck. Even though it is limited, it can still be a viable deck, and I'll be putting it here on the tier B slot. As mentioned, we're getting a lot of stuff for Terapagos in general, because we have the Glass Trumpet to build it up, you have Noctowl, which can get trainer cards from the deck, you have the Rotom to fetch yourself 70, all Carlos Pokemon with 100 HP and less, you have Buffalance for 60 damage reduction if you have 2 Buffalance on your field, meaning Terapagos EX is a 290 HP beat stick, and the second attack that Terapagos EX comes back with actually prevents damage done to it by non-Carlos basic Pokemon, meaning you can wall off stuff like Miraidon, Ancient Box, etc. So cool card indeed, but that's going to be it for the new card archetypes, or actually the new archetypes that are going to be coming in the format. Palkia is a returning archetype, but now it actually is good again. Okay, moving forward, let's just talk about the best decks in the format. Charizard Pidgeot was tier S before, and it's not going anywhere. It does gain the new card, the one and only Briar, allowing you to actually get that additional prize card if the opponent is at exactly 2 prize cards remaining. The Charizard EX is a Tera Pokemon. You can search out the Briar through the means of stuff like the quick search, and that means Charizard can take the last 2 prize cards even if there's only a 1 prizer on the active field in the active slot, which is a very crazy deal. You can even manipulate that fact because of maybe a small line of Dusknoir thrown in tier list, or Dusclops for that matter. So lots of stuff can happen here with Charizard Pidgeot, and it's going to be tier S for me. Talking about some more tier S decks in this format, Regidrago has dropped down a tier in my opinion. Let's just put it in tier A. The hype between Worlds and this new set, meaning that lots of decks are returning to the format, like Palkia VSTAR, for example, might be interesting for sure, because Palkia can actually easily one-shot Regidrago V or Teal Max on the bench quite formidably. They might even play stuff like, for example, the Iron Bundle to just knock out the Pokemon on the bench without having to worry about the Regidrago VSTAR. I think it's putting down a tier as well, because the decks in the format right now that are going to be very turbo aggro. I've seen stuff like the Raging Bolt doing really well over in Japan, even though that's a best of 1 format. That could be having something to do with that. I think Regidrago is tier A, and I'm fine with that. Even though, there's going to be some more buffs for Regidrago. It's going to be for the Surging Spark set, the upcoming set. Raging Bolt, where was the Raging Bolt here? Let's just talk about Raging Bolt real quick. I'm never going to be putting that in tier S because of the consistency purposes, but I'll be putting it in tier A, which is still not too bad of a slot to be in for Raging Bolt Ogerpon. It didn't perform all the best over at Worlds, but it's an aggressive deck. You still can navigate towards maybe playing a 2-2 line of Noctowl, so you can instantly find your Sawdust on the following turns if you are going first. The deck still wants to be going second with Squawkabilly and all that stuff, and I'll just put that in tier A. It's a fine deck, and it's not going anywhere. Same goes for Lugia VSTAR. Lugia VSTAR might think about using actually the I would say the Stadium card that allows it to actually have more bench Pokemon, meaning that you can use Noctowl, and then Noctowl can fetch yourself the combo to discard those Archeops and go for the Lugia VSTAR. I think that's not too bad of an idea to go for, but Lugia was already strong as it is. The only cards that are actually going to be trying to use is actually going to be that Noctowl engine and the new stadium card, even though Lugia is still fine as it is. You can also adapt the worlds list that I played at from Lugia and just play that in this format, that it will work out as well. Also, I want to be noting here that Crispin is also a new supporter, allowing you to get 2 basic energies from your deck into your hand and accelerate one of them to your Pokemon. Also could help out the Raging Bolt as an additional way to accelerate energies, which is going to be nice indeed. So you actually can play 4 Sala and a Crispin as a little example. Okay, let's see. What else do we have here that is tier S? I'll be putting actually the Dragapult in tier S, and that's just because of the crystal. The Sparkling Crystal has shown in Japan that Dragapult has a ridiculously high win rate. The Sparkling Crystal makes sure that Dragapult can attack for 1 energy, being either a fire or a psychic energy, meaning you can focus more on the consistency with Pidgeot EX. You don't no longer need stuff like the, for example, the Xatu and all that stuff. You can just make way with the Dragapult EX, and because you're playing a high amount of Arven, finding that tool card was easier than ever before, even though in the past you had like something like the Forest Seal Stone that you can then use to get the new upper energy. But in my opinion, new upper energy with stuff like Temple in the format, Enhanced Hammer in the format is bad. I know Vacuum is still somewhere in decks left and right, and Jamming Tower could be also a hindering factor, but Dragapult here has shown in Japan that it is definitely deserving that tier S spot. Okay, let's talk about the better don't play this decks, so you guys have an understanding. I'll be putting Conkeldurr in there. It's a very fun rogue deck that I recently made a video about. It can actually pack quite a punch, but if the opponent just focuses on knocking out the Brute Bonnets, then you are pretty much screwed. Dipplin Thwackey also didn't have the results in my opinion, so it's also going to be in the better not play this category. Also United Wings, let's put that over there. Sure. Also, the Palafin is an interesting deck that actually submerged at Worlds a little bit left and right. I'll put that in the tier C. There is going to be more decks belonging in the tier A. I think Gardevoir is also a deck with the highest comeback potential of all of them because of Unfair Stand, because of Iono, because of Screamtail trapping with Countercatcher. I'll put that Gardevoir in tier A as well. So if you take a look at the tier A category and the tier S category, it makes sense that these are going to be the best decks going into the upcoming meta, because there is going to be a resurgence of Dragapult and Charizard still around. I'll actually be putting Miraidon down a tier. I'll be putting that in tier B. It's still a great deck, don't get me wrong. Jesse Parker did a wonderful job showing that at the World Championships, but we just have to be honest here. If Dragapult gets more popular, Miraidon is less great in my opinion, because that's a horrendous matchup if you ask me. Also, Miraidon does hit weakness against Palkia, so you do have that going for you, but it's going to be on the lower end of tier A, meaning you won't always hit that matchup. Okay. Espathra, Xatu, also a deck I personally wouldn't play. Other decks that I personally wouldn't play is like, now that I think about it, I'll be putting most of these like irrelevant decks down a tier if I'm being honest. Iron Thorns in this upcoming format with Dragapult there, that could simply evolve. Charizard can still be stopped. You hit weakness against Palkia. I think we're gonna have to put that in tier B as well. Iron Thorns has historically showed that it's capable of doing a lot of stuff. Gholdengo is tier C, and I think I'll be putting down Cinderace a tier because I don't believe in it quite yet. So I'll put that in the better don't play this category, and Gholdengo is in tier C. You can of course hit one shots against Charizard, Dragapult, etc. So it's a crazy deck, but it does require you to have tons and tons of energies. Roaring Moon, Patcharant, I'll be putting that in tier B. It's a heavy beat stick deck, but does lose against Dragapult and Zard most of the time, so there's that. Ancient Box has showed itself to be very, very strong in this format, but the upcoming format, I think I'll have to turn it down a tier, because Charizard and Dragapult seem to be emerging as the victorious Pokemon from the set, and that's why I'll be putting that over here. And also with Palkia returning, I don't know if they can get to the numbers of Palkia quick enough, although that's a 2-prize Pokemon. I think there's still room for that. Ancient Box is still nice, but I think if Ancient Box is too popular, people might put Noivern back in the Regidrago deck. I don't know, it has been doing really great. Let's just put it on the low end of tier A. A lot of tier A decks. Alright. Greninja Pidgeot is a tier C deck. It's doing a lot of stuff with Dusknoir and all that, but I'm not too big of a believer. Also, a cool thing you could do right now is play the Crispin. So you can Crispin, DTE, and out of nowhere attack with the Barrage attack, which could be super cool. But still, it is Greninja, and it has low HP Pokemon, use a lot of stage 2s, and the better stage 2s are at the tier S category. Snorlax Block could be tier B for me. I think it's not bad. Most of these decks are not, like, if there's Pachyrans out there, you lose, but if they're not playing Pachyrans and enough switch outs, you can get away with winning against most of these matchups, except for stuff like Lugia. Chien-Pao, I'll put it in tier, I don't know, should I put it just in tier B, right? Yeah, you can sometimes win against Zard, sometimes against Dragapult, depends on if you go first. This is a deck that wants to be going first, and if you don't go first, you lose against a lot of matchups, and that's what clearly is wrong about Chien-Pao in the format. Okay, control. You will not be seeing a lot of control, but when there is control, it is strong. So I'll also put that in tier B. Gouging Fire, tier C for me. It's going to be the less good Sada build. If you want to be playing Sada, you're better off playing Roaring Moon, which has the support of Pachyrant. Then we have Blood Moon Ursaluna with the Iron Valiant. I'll put that in tier C as well. Arceus with the Dusknoir is a strong archetype. I was impressed by the power of this, and I think if you are playing it perfectly, you can get away with a lot of dubs here. So I'll put that in the higher end of tier B for now. Toad's Cruel, also put it in the tier C category. I think that's fine. Great Tusk, I wouldn't be playing this, as you do lose against almost all the tier S and above or tier A decks. So put that in, don't play this. Lost Box, is it time for Lost Box to return? Is it time for Lost Box to return? Regidrago is still around. Lost Box still loses against like Greninja, Cologne plays and stuff. I still have to put it in tier C. It doesn't come packed with the results I wanted it to have. Same goes for Giratina VSTAR. All these Lost Box engines were really punished by the fact that not only Dragapult is a great matchup for Lost Box, actually for Dragapult has a great matchup against Lost Box because of the high amount of spread. Stuff like the Kyurem being in Regidrago decks doesn't feel great, and Lugia was also an interesting matchup because you can of course come with lightning type attackers, but if they have established their board quick enough and you don't come back with the lightning attackers in time, you could still lose, so there's that. Okay, Arceus Arborouge is going to be, I probably wouldn't be playing this any longer, I suppose. I don't think it's good. I'll be putting in the better not play this. Dialga is a funky tier C deck. If you have hits with your Metangs, you're going to be doing great, but that's about it. Banette Dusknoir is the deck that Henry Brand played. Also put it in the same category as the Arceus Dusknoir because it's a very similar vibe that I'm getting from these kind of decks, is that you swoop your opponent's board, come with the Blood Moon Ursaluna EX and go from there. And then Future Box, I'll also put it in the tier C because it has a bad time against Zard and a bad time against Dragapult. So that's pretty much all the decks that has some relevant impact. There could also still be decks that we haven't discovered yet for Stellar Crown, but I have taken a lot of knowledge from the Japanese meta that has already developed here. So I can 100% say that Charizard with Pidgeot is never a bad choice. Think about Tord Reckless getting 10th place at the World Championships. You can either go for a heavy candy line or play those couple of TM Evos. You can attack against Regidrago through the means of Robska. And if Dragapult is that popular, I think that's definitely something you have to go for. Dragapult gets better because of the Sparkling Crystal, which is understandable, and can attack against decks like Lugia, for example, with a well-timed, I would say, Temple and Iono could be doing the trick. You also can sprinkle around tons of damage. You can take multiple prize cards against a lot of archetypes. Think about Charizard, think about Gardevoir. You can take a 4-prize turn against Miraidon as well. So Dragapult is getting better, and because of the Zero Underdepth shenanigans, there's going to be a way where you can have larger bench sizes, meaning some of these decks might even try it out. I also want to note is that Crispin is an underrated card that is going to be maybe played in Turbo Roaring Moon, so you can actually play some water energies in the list so you can attack with Greninja a little bit faster. You don't need to rely on 2 E-switches. 1 E-switch could be enough, and attacking with Greninja is always a great thing, right? The Ace Spec Big Tree could also be implemented into stuff like Charizard as well, or Dragapult, so you can go all the way to your stage 2 if you want to. I'm also going to be checking real quick if I'm forgetting any of the cool archetypes that we could be talking about here. Let's see, we're going to PokemonProxies.com. This is the website I'm used to just get some knowledge here for upcoming sets. So there is Stellar Crown, and if I'm taking a look at it right now, Lapras won't have any impact in my opinion, and the Slowking could be a nice don't play this category deck, I suppose. But other than that, there's not a lot to see here. The most impactful items cards are Glass Trumpet. There's also Sparkling Crystal to attack, or actually attack cost reduced by 1 for Pokemon Tera. And there's the Gravity Stone. This is a card that could actually help out Control, or maybe even the Great Tusk. So maybe Great Tusk should belong in Tier C. Who knows? Crispin can accelerate energy from the deck. Good for stuff like Roaring Moon. Good for stuff like, for example, the Raging Bolt. And there is Kufu, which is going to be a card that might even help out the Iron Thorns deck. Briar for additional prize cards, and then the 2 powerful stadium cards. So not the craziest set. You will not be needing to buy a lot of cards. I'll be making a buy list as well for the Stellar Crown set, so you know which cards you exactly need. It's not going to be a ginormous set, so buying singles is always the best thing. And if you are a European player, definitely head over to Card Market to do so. With that being said, I think I'm satisfied with this current tier list. I think it's going to be somewhere along the lines of this. Definitely for popularity wise and win rate wise, this seems great. So not a lot of shakeups. Palkia joins the meta. Terapagos EX also comes lurking around here in the tier B category and has a lot of bulk behind it. And I don't know. We'll see what happens in the meta, but this is going to be the tier list prediction. If you guys enjoyed it, let me know by rocking the hell out of the like button. Helps out in ridiculous ways. You have no idea. And definitely subscribe for more daily Pokemon TCG content coming your way. Are you excited for Stellar Crown? What is the deck you're going to be piloting for the upcoming format? Let me know down below in the comments. Let's get a discussion started. And also, I want to know which deck you will be putting higher or lower upon the tier list. Have yourself a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.